Yep, you know what time it is. Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition. Release date April 1992. Hardware CP System JAMA SPS1 CPS1. Playable characters 12. The most notable difference between World Warrior and Champion Edition is the expanded playable roster. You can now play as the 4 boss characters. They're slightly toned down power-wise from the previous game, but are still extremely formidable. Mirror matches also become officially possible for the first time in Versus mode. In order to tell matched characters apart, each character now has a standard and alternate palette that can be chosen by pressing the start button. If one player has already chosen one palette, the other palette is given to the second player by default. The number of tie rounds is reduced to 4 this version onward, to prevent potentially extremely long matches seen in the World Warrior. The original fighters also got a number of tweaks to their moveset, balancing the game further. Zangief, for example, ends up further from the opponent after a spinning pile driver. This game also marks the beginning of the split between Ken and Ryu's fighting styles. For example, Ken's Tatsumaki Senpukyaku is now faster, albeit weaker, multi-hit attack, whereas Ryu's remains slower yet stronger. Graphically, there are some minor changes. Background stages got a brush up and a few color changes. Ken's fiancée Eliza got a new design, which you weren't able to fucking see because I never did fucking Ken's ending. Sorry about that, guys. You'll see it. And Ryu's face was redrawn in his ending sequence to give him a more serious expression. Chun-Li's clothes in her ending were redrawn, as were the drinks Gao's wife holds in his ending scene, and the face of the Soviet president in Zangief's ending, which was changed. I showed you the original version, so you're welcome. The game only shows the end credit sequence if a player finishes the single-player mode without losing a match. This was true in World Warrior as well, and if players saw the credit sequence in that game, they just hear the continued countdown music. In Champion Edition, there's an entirely new track. Trivia. This game is an immediate sequel, both feature an apostrophe in the title. In Japan, this apostrophe was pronounced aloud, meaning Japanese game magazines and players referred to it as Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition. The apostrophe appears in the United States editions logos as well, but it's generally overlooked by Western players. Tips and tricks. See the credits? As mentioned above, the only way to see the final credits is if you complete the single-player mode without losing a match. Alright, so now let's fucking go to the museum. History. Here we go. Street Fighter 2 Championship Edition is released. Among other improvements, this version of the game lets players finally use the bosses. New promo art reflects this edition, which is awesome. You can see here this logo, which looks pretty fucking sick. Dhalsim's palette. Zangief's new palette, which shows right here. Bison's new palette, which looks pretty fucking sick. They show like things on the palettes, like Sagat's palette with him looking really fleek. Vega's new palette, Balrog's, Blanca's, Guile's, Honda's, Ryu's, Ken's, and Chun-Li's. Along with the picture of Chun-Li looking really fierce, along like Ryu. And that's pretty much it. We'll go to hyper fighting much later. I'll talk about this later, when I do the fucking whatever. Alright, so this is where I go into the characters I haven't done. Balrog. Balrog. Fighting style boxing. First appearance Street Fighter 2. His birthday September 4th. Country USA. 198 centimeters in height, 102 kilograms of weight. Measurements B 120, W889 and H100. Blood type A. Likes women and bourbon. Dislikes fish, effort, and math. Of course he doesn't like math. Special abilities, gambling. Background. Balrog is a powerful puncher, a heavy hitter, and a gregarious gambler. As the first of the four bosses, Shadowloo bosses, Balrog is ready to punch anyone and anyone and everyone that gets in Shadowloo's way. Balrog isn't a particularly deep thinker, but he fights like nobody's business. He was born the youngest child to a poor family and learned to fight early on by scrapping with the other boys in the slums. He could never afford a professional coach, so he really is, in the truest sense, a street fighter. He does stick to the tenets of boxing, though, and never uses kicks. That's not to say his legs aren't powerful. He can propel himself forward with ferocious speed to match his unparalleled punching power. He was attracted to the world of professional boxing by the promise of wealth and glory, by his ferocious nature in the ring made it difficult for him to book fights. Most of his opponents didn't go home after a match. They went to the hospital. Makes sense. For a while, Balrog participated in money matches in Las Vegas, but still had trouble finding opponents due to his dangerous fighting style. Having lost his place in the world of boxing, Balrog making ends meet as a bouncer for casinos and bars when he was approached by M. Bison. Blinded by money M. Bison offered, Balrog joined Shadowloo. By obediently following all his orders, Balrog was able to fight his way to M. Bison's side as his right-hand man. Fighting style. Aside from his below-to-the-belt style and the occasional headbutt, Balrog's technique is built around pure boxing. Although he looks bulky and slow, he can burst forward with incredible speed when required. His dash straight punch has amazing reach and power, using all of his weight and momentum. When he puts his mind to it, Balrog can truly be described as the Knockout King. As you can see, there's his stance. It's him doing his dash upper, his dashing straight, and his turn punch. Okay, who else do we got here? I know we did Sagat. I believe I showed you his sprites right here. This is his uppercut. Look at his tiger knee. What the fuck? Okay, next one. Vega. First appearance Street Fighter 2. Birth January 27th. Country Spain. Height 186 centimeters. Weight 84 kilograms. B 121. W 73 and H 83. Blood type 0. His fighting style is Spanish ninjutsu. Likes beautiful things in himself. Dislikes ugly things. Blood splatter splashback. And special abilities: narcissism and sticking to walls. Vega is a narcissist who believes he is the epitome of beauty, and that beauty is the truest form of strength. He is driven to annihilate everyone and everything in the world that does not meet his standards of beauty. The claws he wears are to ensure that he does not come in direct contact with his prey, and the mask is to protect his face from the blood that inevitably spews forth from his victims. He is also one of the 4 Shadowloo bosses, having joined the organization in its early days. Vega learned ninjutsu from a young age, which is how he's acquired his superhuman speed and destructive abilities. He was born the only child of a beautiful noble woman from a fallen house and an ugly but wealthy man. His twisted thoughts, obsessions, and value system regarding beauty were all handed down to him by his mother. Her twisted thoughts went unrewarded as she was murdered by her own husband. Vega was profoundly affected by this, and this trauma is said to be the reason Vega insists on maiming his defeated opponents. Jesus. Vega was shown a particular interest in Cammy, Perhaps out of respect for her own physical beauty, he was at times ignored in Bison's orders to kill or capture her, and on occasion has even helped Cammy put a wrench in M. Bison's plans. Conversely, Vega appears to harbor an intense jealousy for Chun-Li and almost managed to kill her during the self-destruction of the Sin headquarters, which was in Street Fighter IV. Fighting style. Vega is a cunning fighter who specializes in elaborate aerial maneuvers and acrobatics that unnerve his opponents and disrupt their concentration. He has merged from the ninjutsu he trained since his youth and with other speed-oriented fighting techniques to create a power and perfection that is all his own. You can see here, this is his Royal Crystal Flash and his backslash. That's pretty much it. Last person out of everybody here. M. Bison. Street Fighter II, 1991. He is born April 17th. His country is unknown. He is 82 centimeters. He is 80 kilograms. He is B129, W85, and H991, which is his measurements. Blood type A, fighting style, Psycho Power. Likes world domination, Psycho Power. Fucking, that's his drug. Dislikes weak people, incompetent underlings. Special abilities, hypnosis. How ironic. Narcotics, human experience, arms dealing. M. Bison's hand has touched just about every illegal industry known to man. As the head of the Shadaloo criminal organization, M. Bison also has the frightening ability of Psycho Power at his disposal. Though he has been believed dead many times, M. Bison always seems to acquire a new physical body and return to plague the world once more. M. Bison formed the four bosses of Shadaloo along with Balrog, Sagat, and Vega. M. Bison is by far the most powerful of the four. As the leader of Shadaloo, M. Bison pulls the world's strings from the shadows. He has been responsible for many dark deeds, including the presumed death of Gao's best friend Charlie and the disappearance of Chun-Li's father. He murdered T-Hawk's father and also created and brainwashed Cammy and the rest of the dolls. This guy's fucked up. There was a time when M. Bison was simply a young martial artist like any other. The key difference was his overwhelming ambition and tendency towards darkness. In his struggle to become the best in the world, M. Bison murdered his own master, giving in to evil. Before M. Bison, his master was the only person in the world who could manipulate soul power. It's said that he only passed his ability to M. Bison and one other student before he was killed. However, M. Bison turned soul power into psycho power. M. Bison's entire body is imbued with psycho power, which allows him to hover, create masses of dark energy. Psycho power is a manifestation of spiritual energy, similar to Rose's soul power. What differentiates the two is an intent behind each power's use. Psycho power is what results when spiritual energy is gathered with evil intent, or used for evil purposes. M. Bison used his knowledge of this unique energy to create one of the most powerful devices the world ever seen. The Psycho Drive. Psycho Drives can suck the energy out of any victim that is held within it, and expel this energy as a powerful laser beam to a terrifying effect. Conversely, it can convert psycho power into a light of restoration to instantly heal injuries. M. Bison is a master strategist and always has a backup plan in case his plans are foiled. His mastery of psycho power has given him the ability to transfer his spirit into a new body should his own be destroyed. He has displayed this ability after his first defeat, transferring his consciousness into Rose's body and remaining there until Shadaloo could create a new permanent body for him. Since then, M. Bison devoted much of Shadaloo's resources to ensure he would never be without a backup body, resulting in the creation of the Dolls program. M. Bison also started the Street Fighter tournament as a way to gather the world's powerfulest fighters for use both as brainwashed Shadaloo soldiers and additional potential backup bodies. Assuming he always has a new body to jump into, M. Bison could be considered immortal. Fighting style. M. Bison is a formidable fighter with incredible strength and deadly psycho power techniques. His skill and speed go far normal human limits. As if they weren't enough, the force of his ultimate combat strike, the nightmarishly powerful Psycho Crusher, further augments his fighting style. Here we have the Psycho Crusher, which I always do, and the head press. I think that's it. Oh, we gotta read the music for Championship Edition, which is the bonus stage. All these tracks that I mentioned. Yeah, we have verses. And I think that's it. Well, time to go to the finale. I'll see you guys in the finale of Let's Play Street Fighter 2. Later, guys.